Hello, everyone, and welcome to, oh gosh, it's Tuesday. I'm about to say lunchtime paint along, but we are doing a very special edition of our lunchtime paint along today. We are getting our canvases ready. I'm going to teach you everything you need to do to be ready for our special edition Hurricane Ian benefit paint party tomorrow. Now, because we just have an hour together tomorrow, I'm going to do my best to keep it to an hour. We might run just a little bit over, but I'm trying to keep it, simple, easy to work with. Not usually when we do these workshops, we have 3 days when we spend the first day prepping and then we have a couple days of painting. We're going to do this in a really fun, condensed time tomorrow. And so I want to make sure that we are ready to go. All of our canvases are ready. This is going to be available on replay throughout the day today. So if you don't make it, if you aren't here live, just know that this replay is going to live in the Florida Strong Facebook group under the guides section up above, and you can go back and reference it. I do ask that you come with your panel ready to go tomorrow so that we can just get in there and paint and play with color and have fun. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone that has purchased the replays so far. Y'all are amazing. We have raised almost $5,000 for the cause. If you want to help donate to Hurricane Ian relief, we have over 1,000 people signed up already. If everyone purchased the replays, we would be able to send so much money to the victims of Hurricane Ian. And the other part of this is tomorrow we do only have an hour, and typically when we have these workshops, anyone here in the creative circle will tell you, all of my students that paint with me on the regular, that their favorite thing to do is watch what I do and then go back and watch the replay to then paint along, because then you can stop it, you can pause it, you can rewind, you can take a screenshot. It's a lot easier to watch the replay and paint along with the replay than it is to paint in real time, because this is a demonstration and I do have a limited amount of time and I do want to teach a lot to you. We go probably a little bit faster than you are comfortable painting in real time. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and purchase the replay. We're going to drop the link in the comments. It's all going to a good cause. Like I said, so far we have raised almost $5,000 in profits to go to the victims of Hurricane Ian. And, we have a lot of people here that are just joining us live, but if you are able to purchase the replay, we do encourage you to do so. And also if you are here today, don't forget to text the word strong to 727-732-3086. 727-732-3086. Text strong, the word, and we will let you know when we go live tomorrow. What we're going to do tomorrow is we will put up a 15-minute countdown clock so that you have plenty of time to come in, get set up, get ready, grab your wine, grab your coffee, grab your paints, and just hang out and chill. It is so good to see everyone. I see Susan from North Reddington. Maruda is from Ingersoll, Canada. Oh my goodness. Hey, Agnes, good to see you. It's been a bit. Susan is in Arlington. I see Carolyn from Arkansas. Lorraine, good to see you, Lorraine. I'm so sorry I didn't get to see you in Virginia Beach. Carolyn, and I see Bonnie and Jennifer and Joan and Lori and Jennifer. We have so many amazing people in here. Hey, Mary Stewart, good to see you from Pontevedra. How do you say it? Pontevedra. I can't say it. All of a sudden, my tongue will not say the words that I'm trying to get it to say. Kimberly, we are going to have the replay available this week, and then it's going to be available for a year afterwards. So we're just doing it over this short week in order to make the most impact, and then you can watch it for as long as you want afterwards and come back and watch it as many times as you want, paint as many flamingos as you want. If you want to paint all the flamingos and stick them in your neighbor's yard, we encourage that. That would be perfectly fun. Good to see you now over in Phoenix, April. She's a former Floridian. Vidra. I like that, Mary Stewart. Thank you. Vidra. That's easier. I don't know why my mouth will not form those words. Okay, so today what I'm going to be showing you is how to get your canvas ready. So in order to fit in the frame of my camera, what I need to do is, well, first of all, I need to get the lights so I don't have all these shadows going. What I have to do is I'm going to be painting on an 11 by 14 canvas. And I'm doing that partly because I need it to fit in the frame of the camera, and partly because we have, a little bit, an hour or so together. So anytime you're thinking about going from something small to something big, realize that the bigger you paint, it just takes more time. It's like, are you going to paint a small wall at home, or are you going to paint an entire room? There's just physical time that it takes to apply the paint to the canvas. So that's why for this exercise, I'm going to be painting 11 by 14 so that we can get it done in the time that we have. But if you want to paint bigger, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We have provided tracing. We have provided tracing for 8 by 10, 11 by 14, and 16 by 20. So I'm going to start off let's see. How am I going to start off? I'm going to start off by showing you from scratch how to prep a canvas. So what I have here, hey Debbie, good to see you from Beaverton, Oregon. What I have here is an old painting, an old canvas, and it is 16 by 20, so apologies, it doesn't fully fit in the frame, but y'all will get the idea of what I am doing, and that's the important part. How many times do you have a canvas that you don't like, or I don't know, you went to Hobby Lobby and you got something for your house and you want to reuse it, or any one of these situations? First of all, I'm going to take off my bracelet before I get it covered in gesso, because I am notorious for getting paint on things, and I would like to not get it all over jewelry. Okay, so if you have an old canvas that you've used, you don't like the painting, or I don't know, you've got something lying around the house, typically canvases come already prepped. So if you went to Michael's, if you went to Hobby Lobby, if you went to Dick Blick and picked up something like this, you're good to go. Just skip this step. You don't need the step I'm about to do. But if you have an old canvas, if you want to reuse something, this is what you can do. All I do is I take some gesso, and my favorite is, I love Liquitex gesso, and I take Liquitex gesso. I like it is a little bit more creamy. Other gessos kind of have like a sandy, grainy tooth to it. This Liquitex gesso almost feels a little plasticky, and I prefer that personally because it makes an easier, smoother surface. Carlotta, this is canvas. This is canvas. And it doesn't matter whether you use canvas or board. It isn't going to make a difference one way or another. So all I do is I just squirt a bunch of gesso on here, and then I use a chip brush. This is a chip brush. They come in, this is a 2-inch chip brush. See how it's kind of old and rusty, and this is not a high quality brush. These are just, you can get them at Home Depot, you can get them at Lowe's. These are like $2 to $5 brushes tops. These are not expensive brushes. If you went to Jerry's or Dick Blick, these are often called primer brushes. Same thing, cheap brushes. If you use them for too long, the bristles start falling out. I generally only use these brushes when I need to cover backgrounds or as a primer brush, like it is labeled. So all I do is I just get this covered. And I don't even worry about, honestly, I don't worry about the direction. I don't worry about brush strokes. I just want to kind of cover up the image that was already there before. And I don't get too concerned about it. For example, this one, you can kind of see the ghost image underneath, but it's not showing through enough to really even bother me. Like you can kind of see the palm trees that were underneath, but because I already have several layers of acrylic paint under here, it's really not going to affect what I do next. So I could get away with just using 1 coat of gesso. So don't feel like you have to use a ton of coats of gesso. I'm just going to use 1 coat and let this dry. Sandra, thank you. Absolutely. We are doing what we can to support our neighbors down south. And like I was saying earlier, we've raised almost $5,000. We have almost 1,000 people, and we have a lot of people attending for free. So if anyone wants the replays, we can make such a bigger impact and, really send all these resources down south is what we hope to do. Okay. I am making a mess as I typically do. So I have my big panel that I am waiting for it to dry. And while I wait for it to dry, I don't know about y'all, but the gesso stage, I get it everywhere. It's like it travels down your arms and then it gets on the clothes. And the gesso stage is the messiest stage. Would acrylic paint work for this stage instead of gesso? Yes, you can use titanium white, but titanium white is more expensive. And so it's like I've seen some artists that they'll actually just use gesso as their white because by volume, it's a lot less expensive. It's a little bit more liquid than titanium white. It does have a little bit better coverage because it's meant to cover. It's meant to prime. It's meant to create a surface for paint to adhere to. Carrie, yes, you absolutely can still purchase this class. We have the link in the comments, and we will continue to drop the link in so that you can join. Today we are just prepping our canvas. Tomorrow we will be painting our mingos together as a whole flock. We are going to flock together and paint our mingo. And then on Thursday, I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you how we get all those beautiful colors and how you can start intuitively learning how to mix your own colors just from a few colors. So now we have a nice bright white canvas. I'm going to show you This is one that I have gessoed and prepped, and I'm going to show you one that is already prepped. There's really not a difference. So these are two different canvases. I'm just going to show you what I do to tone a canvas. If you've been in any of our lunchtime paint-alongs, you are, or in the Creative Circle, you are you're familiar with what we do. What I like to do is just kind of put down a little bit. One of the favorite colors that I use for toning a canvas is burnt sienna. This is a student grade burnt sienna that I use. I swear I've had this tube for years now. It has taken me forever to work through it while toning my canvas. If you're going to use student grade paints, I recommend you use it in the early layers of your paint where you don't need a lot of like opacity, where you don't need a lot of like powerful colors. That's kind of where I tend to use my student grade paints, and that's where I'll save a little bit of money. So what I do is I squirt a little on, I just squirt a little bit on, and then I'll spray the canvas down, and I use a clean chip brush. And so what I'll do is I'll just get my chip brush wet. I just want to keep this wet. And the reason why I want to keep it wet is because I want to have a transparent color to the canvas. The reason why I use burnt sienna a lot of the time is for a couple reasons. Number one, got another one of those little packet things. Number one, this is intimidating. This right here, this is intimidating. What do you do with a white canvas? That is like, oh my goodness, I have to be perfect. Oh my goodness, what do I do? My next step is so important because I have this bright white canvas. By toning the canvas, we take away that white. We take away that expectation. We have already put the first paint down, and we've put it down so that it doesn't matter. Like this doesn't matter. It's the strokes don't matter. We're just getting color down. So we've already removed how precious this is. You know, we've already removed the white. We've already removed that first step. You've already taken the first step, is the first reason to remove that intimidation of the white page. The second reason is that white, like when you go outside, with a snowy, like if you try to walk outside and it's a snowy day and there's snow everywhere and the sun is bright, it blinds your eyes. It makes it very difficult to perceive light and dark and different colors. So this toned canvas helps give you a basis for your eyes to adjust. It helps give your eyes something to latch onto. You know, if you think of you try to take a picture of something that's like all white or too bright, your camera can't focus on it. Your eyes are the same. So what I did was I sprayed this down. I just got the burnt sienna I'll do this again on this one. I got the burnt sienna very transparent, and I just covered it. No big deal. And then what I did is I pulled some of it up with the rag to make it just even a little bit lighter. This color, it's my go-to one. If I don't know what color I want to prime a canvas, I just go with burnt sienna. It's a nice warm tone. It's not too light, it's not too dark, and I like how little bits of it can peek through the background and it kind of creates this lovely orangey pop. Okay, so we did it on the canvas that I gessoed. So now let's do it on the one that is already gessoed and ready to go. So this was just a Michael's purchase. Once again, just get some paint on there. Look, this is dirty water. This isn't even like clean water. None of that matters. I'm just getting my brush wet. I'm getting this transparent. And this is called scrubbing. Where you just kind of scrub the brush like this. Once we get painting, I generally don't recommend using that technique because we can tend to overwork. But for this stage, we're just trying to get paint on. We're just trying to get paint spread on here. It doesn't matter. So can you see with these less expensive brushes, they leave behind bristle marks, which little texture like that personally drives me nuts. Some people don't mind. Some people like the texture in their work. Me, I don't like it, but that's just me. So I try to pick them out. Now the supplies I went over the supplies last week, and the way that we've priced this is we do recommend that you try to get some of the better paints because they will last you a really, really long time. They will, those 2-ounce tubes of paint, they will last you for many, many paintings. If you're going to get one of the bigger tubes, we recommend getting it in titanium white. I always tend to use more titanium white, and that's going to be a good color to have a bigger tube in. And we've kept the paints when I priced them out. If you get them from Dick Blick, which is an art supply store, the paints themselves are less than, it should be about $40 for the paint for the 4 colors. And you can get a really decent brush for about $10, $15. And then a canvas, I think this one at Michael's was this was under $10. So you can get started painting for basically $50 and then the cost of whatever you're painting on. And you don't have to spend a ton of money on the surface. Like I paint most of the time, I do my practice paintings on basically paper that costs not even $1 a sheet. So like if you join our lunchtime paint-alongs, all those paintings I do on a mixed media paper, and it's very inexpensive. So once you invest in the couple of paint colors you need and your brushes, you can do a lot and really take your skills to the next level. And then once you're sure this is what you want to do, then you can start investing. You can start pulling in better supplies. Oh, Megan said Michael's gives a military discount. Yes. And, if you have the Michael's app or the Joanne app, they always have those coupons. And so you can go in and use that 20, 30, 40% off one item on a tube of paint. I remember when they used to come in the newspaper every week when I was first starting, I would get a new tube. I'd get a new tube of paint every week, and I'd use that 40% off on that one tube of paint. Okay. So for the next stage, I need for these to be dry, and they're not quite dry. So I'm going to grab. One great thing about acrylics is they are fast to dry. And unlike oils, if you need to speed up the process, you can speed up the process with a hairdryer. So if you have a hairdryer, you can just use that. There you go. Michael's also gives a senior citizen discount at 55. Oh man, that's awesome. Highly recommend using that. A lot of these companies want your attention, and then also if you look at Jerry's Artorama and Dick Blick, they always have stuff on sale, and their prices, just even when they're not on sale, tend to be significantly less expensive than your typical Michaels, for example. Okay, so we provided a tracer in a couple different sizes. We have them in 8 by 10, 11 by 14, and 16 by 20. What you need to do is you need to print the tracer at its correct size. And I don't know everyone's printer settings. If you have trouble with this, I would recommend going to FedEx or Kinko's, and they can get it printed out at 100% full size so that it would match what you are trying to trace it onto. I always recommend, throughout this entire process this week, and just in general with my students, my creative circle members, my inner circle, I always recommend starting with what you have and working better things in. Like there's always a low-tech solution. There's always a less expensive alternative. You can always work with something else. We don't have to have all of the fancy supplies. We don't have to have all of the fancy things to do. So if you need to trace and you don't have tracing paper, all you need to do is take a graphite pencil and color the back. Like, there's always an easier, lower tech solution. If you think about it, people were painting hundreds of years ago with far less impressive supplies, and people are creating art in developing countries with far fewer resources than what we have. So we don't always have to have this latest, greatest thing. Oftentimes there's a solution right there in front of us that is just as easy, less expensive, doesn't require an extra purchase or some extra talents. When I was first starting, I talk about it's like when you're first a parent and you think if you don't have this favorite doodad, your child is gonna fail because you can't provide them with everything when all you need are the basics. You don't need this special nursing pillow and this other thing. You can do the exact same things with fewer resources. All right. So I have taped together my tracer, and I've just colored the back of this. I might need a little bit more graphite on it, but this is just my basic low-tech solution. Oh, thank you, Carrie. Yes. I mean, gosh, y'all in Louisiana have been smacked so many times. And I know y'all are still recovering from Ida, and it's just been tough there too. So see, look, we are starting to get this line. We can just use a pencil. We don't have to do anything fancy. We don't need an extra supply. Oop. And I didn't even, when your drawing is so bad that you can't even trace your own work, right? So I just go over, I have a pen, and this pen has a, it's like a good ballpoint pen. It has a good strong point because all you need is the pressure. You don't need the ink, you need the pressure. If y'all remember, like when you're trying to do something in triplicate, I don't know who remembers triplicate stuff. You need to just press through, or it's like the duplicate checks. You just need to be able to press through to get that pressure so that it'll transfer. So there you go. It's a little bit hard to see on camera, but I can see it. You can see the lines, and I have traced our Mingo. So this is the low-tech, easy way to do it. If you want to, there is another way. I wouldn't call it the high-tech way. It just involves an extra supply. Yeah. If you guys are looking for the tracers, so the tracers, these guys, are available in the Facebook group, in the Florida Strong Facebook group, and you should have also gotten an email with them. The email has the PDF that has all of it in there. And in the Facebook group, at the very top, you'll see along the edge, it'll say like guides, media, some other stuff. Click on guides, and we have all of the resources you need. So we have these tracers, and they are photos, and they are correctly sized to the different canvas. So this right here, this is an 11 by 14 tracer. This guy is a 16 by 20 tracer. And so if you don't have it fit to the page, they will print out the correct size. This will print to 16 by 20. And like I said, I don't know everyone's printer and computer settings. So if you don't know how to do this on your own printer, I highly recommend going to like Kinko's. It'll be maybe $1 to get them, because this is just black and white, just get them to print it to its correct size. So if it's 16 by 20, get them to print it to 16 by 20. If it's 11 by 14, get them to print it to 11 by 14. We also have a smaller one that is 8 by 10. And once again, when you go into the Facebook group, look at the top, like just under the big banner that says Florida Strong. There's going to be a bunch of little things up there, and it says like guides, media, etc., etc. Click guides, and we have all the information that you need for the next couple days up there. Oh, I like that. Linda had said she learned to use a red ballpoint pen so you can immediately see where you've traced and where you missed. That is a great point. So, gosh, this talks to every time I'm in a group and we teach together, I always have a takeaway, and we always learn from each other so much. And that is 100% the community aspect of what we do that I personally love. Rosie, oh wait, no, I got it. I was looking for scissors. Trying to keep a pair of scissors around here is impossible. They're always floating around and getting stolen, and a good pair of scissors is worth its weight in gold. So if you are uncomfortable freehand sketching, if you are uncomfortable, if you feel like you can't draw a stick figure, trace. I traced for years. I was doing cityscapes of Singapore, and I was doing these really incredible paintings, and I basically gridded or traced for years in order to make sure I got the perspective correct. Like it takes a little while. And you know what? I'll tell you a secret. I don't like to draw. I I was just in Paris with 20 artists. We are all artists. We're all professional artists. And so many of my friends there love drawing. They love plein air painting. They would sit and sketch. And I have a really hard time being in person and sketching. And so, you know, if you feel like you can't do it, I don't like the way I draw. Until you're more comfortable, until you have that hand-eye coordination, there is no shame in tracing. None whatsoever. Okay. So, this tracer paper, God, it's such a mess. This tracer paper is, let's see, it's about, yeah, this will be wide enough. So it comes in a roll. It is dirty as all get out because it's like graphite. It is just like, it's just like those old triplicate things. So I do recommend that you are prepared for it to be a little bit of a mess. I prefer to tone my canvas and then do the tracing, because sometimes with the graphite it'll smudge if I put the graphite down and then tone it. I will answer your question about the magentas in just a minute. I do want to get through this. So all I do is I put this tracing paper down, dark side down, because that is the side that will make the impression. And I just kind of line this up. And then I lose all of my supplies and I go looking for them. Let's see. Julie, we have a 16 by 20 that you can just print as a 16 by 20. You don't necessarily have to worry about scaling it. Like there's a 16 by 20 file that is 16 by 20. All of these are available in the guides in the Facebook group. Okay, so I do not have the brilliant red ballpoint pen. So this one, I will say, this transfer paper is much more sensitive. You don't have to press as hard. Because it wants to leave graphite everywhere, for better or worse. This is really weird. Huh, for some reason it is not. Let me press harder. Oh, I bet I know why. So this is interesting. I'm actually having to press harder than I typically do. Because I have several sheets of paper. But that's why I just go through and check and make sure that it's going. Sometimes when I do things like this, I'll just use like the end of a part of it is this canvas is, there we go. This canvas is bowing. And part of it is because I have like 4 sheets of paper because I've taped it all together. So you just want to make sure you apply enough pressure and check that it's going through and making the mark that you want. And you might have to go in and just double check. Yep. So like I said, it's just like those duplicate checks that we have. Right, they have to be able to feel the pressure. Okay. Oh, don't want to forget the eye. Okay. So then if you feel like you can't see it all the way or you need to make it better, you can always go over. And just make sure the lines are good for tomorrow. And that you can see them. We're going to be covering up these lines. So, you know, don't worry too much. We're going to be painting loose. We're going to be painting quickly. So you don't have to, they don't have to be perfect. Carrie, I am not familiar with Artist Loft Deep Magenta. It's probably very similar. The Artist Loft tends to be, I believe that's Michael's house brand. It's more of a crafter student grade paint. So I'm not as familiar with that, but I would say work with it and see if you like it, see how the colors mix together, and go from there. Do I ever use acrylic paint pens for tracing over the pencil lines? Generally not, unless I want to use, unless I want them to show through later. When I'm sketching and doing, my own paintings, I do use paint pens. I use the Liquitex ones a lot. They're Liquitex paint markers. I know there are the Posca paint pens. Those are another good thing to use. It's just we all kind of get familiar and have our preferred supplies. This is what I use on my very first layers when I'm just sketching freehand, but that's my own personal preference. I like some of that under drawing to show through. And I really only use these when I'm painting large. When I'm painting small, y'all watch me in the paint-alongs and in the creative circle. I generally just use a paintbrush. I find that's a lot easier. Let's see, what other questions do we have going on? This is the point that I would like for you to have your canvas ready for tomorrow, so that we can really just dive in and paint. It will make everything go a lot faster tomorrow, and we'll be ready to go and can kind of just go from there. Now, if you... you can also, if you want, like this one, I pulled out some of the color so it's a little bit lighter. This is you can also just grit it and sketch it if you want. That's if you're familiar with freehanding and using the grid to do that. Rosemary, do you want me to show that?
Real quick, I think that'd be helpful.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys. Yes, please. I'll show it on the big one. So this isn't going to all fit into the frame, but another thing that you can do is you can, let's see. This is not toned, so we're just gonna roll with it even though it's not toned. And I'm gonna grab a, let's see. Typically I would go ahead and tone this, but let's see. But I'm gonna show you what you can do if you want to just sketch this out. I have the photo reference right here. And oh my God. So part of the reason why I like tracing with shapes like this is that it is, I find it difficult to get some of these curves correct. So that's why I am fully encouraging everyone to trace if you feel uncomfortable. And now I'm going to put myself on the spot and show you guys how human I am as far as it comes to my drawing skills. And I can't even draw a straight line. It's just that awesome. But part of this all is, you know, having these wavy lines shows that we are a human. You know, it shows that we aren't perfect. It shows that this isn't a photograph. And I think that makes some of this really, really beautiful. Julie, it is, yes, everything is in the guides. It is right there in the guides. If I use acrylic marker on canvas, can I still mix paint with the acrylics? Yes, any acrylics can be mixed together, and acrylic will just lay over top. I use acrylic paint markers all the time in my first drawings. So one of the catches that I kind of always recommend that you are perpendicular to your canvas, because right now or you're parallel with your canvas, because right now I'm sitting, and it creates a weird perspective. So you'll notice my drawing is really far off because I'm kind of perceiving it weird, and that's just when I'm painting for myself and I'm not teaching, I prefer to stand up if I can, so that I can get some distance from what I'm doing and use my whole body when I paint. So the one thing that annoys me about all paint pens is this. I haven't found any that have like truly the flow that I like. It's part of the reason why I'll use them, but generally just for like sketching. So I'm just freehanding this, and I'm trying to keep it like, okay, this is what this shape looks like in this part of the grid. This is how much of his neck. I use the grid to help guide my drawing. And the great thing about using a grid to help with your drawing is that this can be applied to like any size. So I could use the same grid and use the proportions on an 8x10 or a 16x20. You know, you can scale it up or down. And look, as I'm going, I'm fixing my drawing. I realize it's not perfect. And it should be, we're going to go over it anyways. This is just going to be kind of like the guide. Okay. Here we go. And remember, you know, like this entire experience, this entire experience tomorrow is all about fun. It's all about letting go and playing with some paint. And really just, you know, we're here to get together, have some community, and help support a good cause. I like to say there are no emergencies in art. You know, we're here to throw some paint around and have some fun. And we're doing it for a good cause, but it's a journey. It's not so much about like a perfect result. I can't tell y'all how many ugly paintings I painted before I started painting ones that I liked. Like, you just have to get that practice in. You just have to kind of get the reps in and develop the skills. And that takes a little bit of time. And that's fine. Rosalie, I'm not sure what brand that Ultra Blue Deep is, but yeah, that should be fun to try, definitely. I would love to see what that turns out like. Debbie said she was told she's a better painter than drawer on the first day of painting. Yeah, it's great. It's oh, Susan, I was just in Paris. And really it doesn't matter. It's all about what you see and what you make of things. We aren't perfect. All about art is our humanity. It is showing our choices. It's showing what we like. It's showing the beauty in the world. We aren't doing this to be perfect. We're doing this because we have this need to create. Ever since we were cavemen and wanted to just leave our mark on a wall, we have this calling to do something. We have this calling to bring things into the world. We have this calling to show our stories and our perspective. It doesn't have to be like overly complicated. We can just do something because we like it, you know? So these are the different ways that you can get your canvas ready. So I do ask that you tone it with burnt sienna or like a light orange, because we are going to have it toned ahead of time, and that you have some kind of outline ready to go. You can either use your pencil, and you can, where does it go? You can either use your pencil and just transfer it that way, get the graphite on the back and then trace it, or you can use this transfer paper and do the same thing, use the transfer paper to help it transfer, or you can use the grid and sketch it out yourself. You can sketch it out with pencil, you can sketch it out with paint, whatever you feel more comfortable with. If you would just come to class tomorrow with a toned, this isn't toned yet, the gesso's still drying, but if you would come with a toned canvas ready to paint, it is really, then we'll all be ready to go at the same time tomorrow, and we can come together and do this. And I encourage you, like I said, if you have not purchased the replay, I encourage you to purchase the replay so that you can go back, and tomorrow we can, I can teach and you can listen and you can learn, and then you can go back, stop, pause, rewind, take screenshots, do what you need to do so that you're not going to feel rushed tomorrow. I always recommend that you kind of listen and watch and then go back and do it. So tomorrow is going to be we're going to paint the flamingo together. I'm going to be painting an 11 by 14. Since we are doing it tomorrow, I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to get it done. And then Thursday, I'm going to also be teaching again. I'm going to be doing a demonstration on understanding our paints even better. I'm going to show you how you can get a lot of different colors from the 4 paints that I recommended. So I thank you so much for coming today. I am looking forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. We go live at noon Eastern here in the Florida Strong group. Make sure to text the word STRONG to 727-732-3086, and we will send you a text alert when we go live so that you don't miss it and so that you're here on time. And we will put a countdown clock up at about 15 minutes beforehand so you can gather, get your supplies together, get your coffee, get your water, get your lunch, whatever you need, so that we can all come together and be ready to go right then. And thank you again so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. And once again, I have been your teacher, Shelby Dillon. All right, y'all. Have a fabulous